Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Come on with us to John chapter 2 today. We don't have time to read the account. We got to get right into it. Hope you're familiar with the account of Jesus turning the water to wine. If not, pause the video. Read John 2 verses 1 through 12, please. As for us, let's get right into it. The Lord, as he turns the water into wine, let's make this point. The Lord, he turns the ordinary into extraordinary. It's what he has done from the very beginning. Who is it who obeys the gospel? It's not the religious elites, it's the tax collectors, it's the harlots, it's the sinners, it's the ones that society rejects. They are the ones who obey the gospel. They're the ones who the Lord does marvelous things in their sight. The Lord takes the ordinary and he makes them extraordinary. Turns the water to wine. But also, you might think about it, wasn't just regular water. Verse 6, it says, this water was for the manner of purification of the Jews. They had all their washings. They had the washings before the meals. They had washings after the meals, purification, all that stuff. But guess what? That water didn't purify anything. All those traditions that the Jews had, it didn't do anything. Only the Lord's power can purify. You might think about it. These weren't just ordinary water pots. This is for purification. It didn't do anything. Only the Lord's power can do that. Only the Lord's power can make us clean. And the thing is, he doesn't just make us clean enough, he makes us clean. He doesn't just make us good enough, he makes us good. When the servants bring the wine to the master of the feast, he says, you have kept the good wine until now. The Lord could have easily just made the lesser quality wine, but he didn't. He made it good. He doesn't just make it good enough, he makes it good. He doesn't just make us good enough, he makes us good. Think about the miracle. He never touched the pots. He never touched the water. He simply gave his word and those servants obeyed it. What do you think? What might you think about considering that? It also says at verse 7, they filled them up to the brim. Why do you think Scripture includes that part right there? If the Lord would have touched the pots, if he would have touched the water, if it would have been him who drew it out of the pot, what would the skeptics have said? They would have said he's tampered with it somehow. The Lord removes all doubts. That is what the Lord does. He removes all doubts if we'll let him. I want you to also consider in the miracle. This is somewhat of a stretch, but bear with me. Moses was a type of Christ. It calls this miracle here in John 2, it calls it the beginning of signs. What were the beginning of signs that Moses did? He turned the water into blood, and there is death everywhere. To look at that account in Exodus. Here, as the Lord has come, and you have this beginning of signs, and it's not water to blood, it's water into the fruit of the vine. The water into the fruit of the vine. And where they're at the wedding feast. And you study what was going on at the wedding feast, and of course what was happening. And it was a time of life. We'll put it like that. Now, as you think about what we are truly beginning, here the Lord has been invited as a friend of the bridegroom. But what is this truly? This is the beginning of his own wedding feast. You might look over at John chapter 3 and what John the Baptist says at verse 29, because this is the beginning of the true wedding feast. And Jesus is not the friend of the bridegroom. Jesus is the bridegroom. Hope you enjoyed this study today. God bless you. Be a blessing to others. We hope to see you tomorrow morning.